When every drop of water contains a world all of its own, you come to realise that exploration stops becoming about adventuring into unknown lands, but becomes a matter of scale. The march of human progress has filled in the last blank spaces on the map. The age of explorers is over. Well, at least for the time being, until we start venturing out into the stars. But for most of us, the stars are out of reach. So in order to find adventure, we have to look really, really small. My name is Alex, and please join me as I start my exploration of the microverse as a complete novice in the field of microbiology, and to show you how easy it is to become a micronaut yourself. If, like me, you have always been fascinated with nature and everything that lives in it, a microscope can provide you a window into an unseen world that exists all around us. No matter where you live, you'll have access to a river, lake, pond, or even a puddle of water. This new world is there for anyone to see and is not limited to national parks or exotic countries thousands of miles away. Microscopy is for everyone. I would like to put out a disclaimer. I am a complete novice when it comes to using microscopes or the field of microbiology. This channel is meant to document my journey into the hobby to hopefully encourage other people to join me and to build a community around a shared interest. Though I do my best to research, I'm not experienced in identifying microorganisms, so if I get anything wrong, please feel free to correct me in the comments. This is a trinocular compound microscope, and in my opinion it's the perfect beginner microscope, being both cheap and user-friendly. It cost me £209 and it came with everything I needed to start my journey, and I have included a link to where I bought it in the description below. Along with the microscope itself, the box included glass slides, a phone mount, power supply, an SD card, two 10x magnification eyepieces, two 25x magnification eyepieces, an electronic eyepiece with a mount, and the microscope itself with a 4x, 10x, 40x and 100x objective lenses. I wanted to test my new microscope right away, so I grabbed a water sample from a local river, prepared a slide and started playing around to see if I could see something. Now in hindsight, I do not think the water sample that I grabbed was going to yield much to see. It was a pretty fast flowing stream and the water was quite clear. Most of the microorganisms would have been concentrated around the vegetation, living or breaking down on the riverbed. Any microorganisms that found themselves higher in the water column would have been washed downstream by the fast flow. I wasn't having much luck in focusing an image, but I did manage to see some hairs and some air bubbles that were trapped on the slide. What I needed was some slow moving water with lots of plants and detritus, where microorganisms like to make their home, and it was also clear that I actually needed to learn how to use my microscope properly. So I went away, watched a few YouTube videos and drove to a nearby lake where I could collect a better sample. And shout out to MicroPunter for all their microscope tip and tutorial videos. The UK had been inflicted with 6 weeks of constant grey skies and rain, so when the sun did finally decide to come out, I did not pass up on the opportunity to go outside and enjoy it. It was still cold, but the blue skies and the animals made all the difference. I didn't think I suffered that much from seasonal depression, but just the act of walking outside in the sunshine, away from all the noise and smog of the city, it felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders, one I didn't even know that was there. I'm still embarrassed to be witnessed filming myself in public, so we found a secluded area at the edge of the lake to take my sample, but it did mean braving a few brambles.
Things you do for love.
It was still winter, so there wasn't a lot of new plant growth yet, but my aim was to collect a sample from the lake bed, making sure to get as much of the rotting leaves and twigs as I could. I had my fingers crossed we had a whole cast of little critters in here. I actually looked up how to prepare a slide without getting air bubbles trapped inside. By angling the cover glass at 45 degrees, you can let the surface tension of the water spread the sample evenly across the slide. I still think I added too much water though. Once I had the sample lined up, and with the stage at its lowest point, I slowly raised the stage until an image came into focus. I realised having a piece of moss or a leaf on the slide gave me something to focus the microscope on, and it made the whole process a lot easier. To work out total magnification, you need to multiply the magnification of the objective lens and the eyepieces together. Most of my footage is taken with the 40 times objective lens and the 10 times eyepieces for a total magnification of 400 times. But there are clips where I swap in the 25 times eyepieces for a total magnification of 1000 times. And here it was, my first clear glimpse into an unseen world of the microverse. And what struck me most was how much it resembled the world I already recognised. I saw coastlines with estuaries, vast forests with little critters hiding in the vegetation. It was a reflection of our own world within a droplet of water. There was so much to see and I didn't know where to start. Here is footage of me getting excited over what I thought was a large single-celled organism, only to realise it was just a bubble of air. At first glance, the sample looked pretty dead. I was looking down on winter's wasteland, dormant until spring. But the longer I looked, the more life started to emerge, eking a meagre living amongst the corpse of summer. I was not able to identify this organism walking along a strand of filamentous algae, with its chloroplasts faded to brown with the lack of sun. I wonder what the sight looked like from their perspective, clinging to a bridge stretching into open water, connecting two different feeding grounds. You can see that my skills with the microscope were not the best. I found it incredibly difficult to balance keeping the organisms in frame, especially when they were moving, whilst also keeping them in focus, leading to some incredibly jerky footage, but I did get better as I went on, I promise. You might also notice some differences in some of these shots. I was experimenting with using the electronic eyepiece, which allowed me to record the microscope's view directly onto my computer versus filming down the eyepiece with my phone. I found that the electronic eyepiece gave me much more stable footage, but the resolution of the image was much better through my phone pointing down the eyepiece. I think I have a solution for the next video that will allow me to stabilise the footage through the eyepiece a lot better using a tripod and my DSLR camera. I was tempted to refilm a lot of this footage for YouTube, but I decided to keep it as a record of what I saw the first time using my microscope. Hopefully one day my footage will be as spectacular as other channels like Journey to the Microcosmos, but excellence takes time and this is only my first step. I have been struggling to identify this organism. It looks unicellular and you can see the faint beat of cilia towards one end of the body, leading me to think it's a type of ciliate, but with the quality of the footage it's hard to be more specific than that. If you have any ideas, please let me know in the comments. The way its body stretches and squeezes between the debris, it looks like it's hunting for prey in a dense jungle. Just imagine being 400 times smaller and coming face to face with this eyeless worm as its skin starts to warp and you are completely engulfed and digested. A truly frightening thought. Before I could get any more footage of it, it disappeared from my frame, only to jump scare me seconds later. And then it was gone again, never to reappear. This is a pair of Vorticella, perhaps the most stunning organisms I discovered in this sample. Plus they didn't move around a lot, so I managed to get some good footage of them. Vorticella are a type of ciliate. They use stalks to anchor themselves down into a substrate, where they use their beating cilia to create a vortex of water to suck in suspended bacteria and other smaller microorganisms to feed on. Though they spend the majority of their life anchored down and filter feeding like a sponge or a coral, they can become detached and enter a free swimming stage. This usually happens after a daughter cell buds off from their parent cell, or the organism wants to look for a more suitable environment. Once they are in their free swimming stage, they are known as teletrochs. They truly are fascinating creatures, and perhaps I will do a more in-depth video on them in the future. But that's all for this video and my first time using my microscope. It's getting late, but I can't wait to explore deeper into this new world and enjoy this new hobby of mine. When a drop of water contains a world all of its own, a single lake becomes a whole galaxy to explore. The main goal for my next video will be improving the quality of the footage I collect with my microscope. I also want to experiment with things like oil immersion, which will allow me to increase the magnification and resolution of the image. But maybe I'll wait until I have the microscope basics down first. So if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps out small channels like mine, and I'll see you next time on Micronaut as I continue my journey into the microverse.